either due to just not possessing the same level of star power as other features, or not being pushed as heavily as some other high-profile releases. These epic upcoming titles haven't been talked about anywhere near as much as they should have recently, so it's time to give these exciting projects some much-needed attention. I am Gareth here from WhatCulture.com, and here are 10 epic upcoming movies nobody is talking about. Number 10, A Haunting in Venice. Not even Death on the Nile's disappointing box office haul could keep 20th Century Studios from committing to a third Poirot investigation. Despite dropping a trailer for that next slice of whodunit suspense a few months ago though, it's safe to say that very few are aware of A Haunting in Venice even being a thing at this point, which is a bit disappointing really, as the latest Agatha Christie adaptation, this time of the Halloween party story, looks like a gothic horror hoot. With the likes of Michelle Yeoh, Tina Fey, Jamie Dornan, Kelly Riley, and Branagh as Poirot all being present. The series looks to be heading in a far more frightening direction here, but even with Poirot's attempts to solve a murder at a seance feeling like an adventurous blend of supernatural scares and unexpected twists, Death at the Nile's poor performance in theaters perhaps suggests that folks just aren't as into Branagh's Poirot-verse as they once were, and that could explain why there's currently very little buzz surrounding the haunting set to land on September 15th. Number 9, The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim. Early last year, it was revealed that an incoming animated Lord of the Rings prequel, set 183 years before the events that go down in the Two Towers, would be landing in theaters in April 2024. And with a Rings of Power series also set to arrive on Amazon Prime in 2022, it honestly felt like Middle-earth Christmas for lovers of J.R.R. Tolkien's world. But with that aforementioned first season of Lord of the Rings small screen action not really knocking it out of the park in the way many had hoped, the excitement towards anything to do with this fantasy series, The War of the Rohirrim included, seems to have evaporated slightly. The first look at Blade Runner Black Lotus director Kenji Kamiyama's film definitely offered enough reasons for fans of Peter Jackson's live-action offerings to be giddy, with the concept art suggesting that the anime will be heavily influenced by the world scene in Jackson's Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit pictures. The War of the Rohirrim also boasts the vocal talents of the mighty Brian Cox as the King of Rohan, Helm Hammerhand and Miranda Otto reprising her role of Eowyn from Jackson's films. All of this points to a fascinating project that could definitely help reignite interest in a flailing IP. So hopefully Warner Brothers and New Line Cinema can get deflated Rings fans talking about this epic War of the Rohirrim again in the coming months. Number 8, The Fall Guy. You'll no doubt be disappointed to learn that this upcoming David Leitch action thriller isn't actually going to possess Ryan Gosling bumbling his way around an obstacle course. However, it will see the Barbie star taking on the role of Colt Seavers, a past his best stuntman. After being hired to work on a film by his ex-girlfriend, only for the star he's doubling to go missing, Colt is thrown into the middle of a rather perilous situation. In other words, all manner of hilarious chaos will likely ensue. But similar to how Leitch's last all-star comedy action picture by the name of Bullet Train wasn't really given a whole lot of attention in the time before eventually speeding away with a few $100 million at the box office, his Fall Guy big screen adaptation of the 80s series of the same name hasn't exactly made that many headlines early on either. Those lucky enough to attend this year's CinemaCon were actually shown a first glimpse of this colourful, explosive tale of a stuntman trying to help his ex's space opera movie from going under, and said clips seem to have gone down quite well. Yet those who weren't treated to the early footage of this thrill ride have likely been too busy taking in Fast and Furious nonsense and Mission Impossible marketing to think about Leitch's next star-studded stunt show. Number 7, Havoc. Outside of his appearances as Eddie Brock in the Venom franchise, Tom Hardy has only really had a central role in Josh Trank's Capone since 2018, and that's what makes the lack of buzz or excitement surrounding his first leading feature part in what feels like forever so, well, odd. Appearing as veteran detective Walker, Hardy will be joined by stars like Forrest Whitaker and Timothy Olyphant in this story of the aforementioned Walker having to battle through a criminal underworld to save a politician's son. The fact that Raid's Gareth Evans is directing Havoc, a feature that he also wrote, all but guarantees this Netflix project will be one of the most hard-hitting and relentless action thrillers 2023 has to offer too. However, with there only being the odd image of a bloodied up Hardy in a police vest online, and not even as much as a teaser trailer being released to remind people that this Evans-Hardy team-up is inbound, most will likely only hear about the pair's first collaboration just before it arrives on the streaming service at some point this year. And while on the subject of Tom Hardy, what is your favourite Hardy flick to date? Well, let me know in the comments section right down below, my friends. Number 6. Heart of Stone. Tom Harper's Heart of Stone has also largely gone under the radar since it was officially announced back in December 2020. This Skydance project will serve as the streaming service's answer to the Mission Impossible and James Bond franchises, with Gal Gadot taking on the starring role of elite agent Rachel Stone in the spy adventure. It all looks rather promising. Harper was behind the likes of Wild Rose and The Aeronauts, while the script was also penned by Greg Rucka and Alison Schroeder, known for their work on The Old Guard and Hidden Figures respectively. It seems safe to assume this won't be your usual empty-calorie action flick then. However, that still doesn't change the fact that next to no one is likely aware this realistic Gadot vehicle will be crashing onto Netflix in the not-too-distant future. Outside of a pulsating first look at the incoming Stone mission that dropped in September 2022, the streaming service has done very little to push what could be the beginning of an epic new franchise. Number 5. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. All the way back in 2019, it was noted that Disney very much intended to release some new Planet of the Apes stories after the success of the most recent Andy Serkis starring Apes trilogy. Maze Runner's Wes Ball was brought on as director before the end of the year, but aside from revealing that the story wouldn't act as a reboot and would serve as a continuation of the epic tale that was told in those prior Caesar-led pictures, things were relatively quiet on the Apes front for the next few years. 2022 did finally bring with it the announcement of the movie's title, and a few of its stars at least, along with a first look at the follow-up. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes will see The Witcher's Freya Allen playing the lead human role, while Owen Teague will star as Cornelius, the son of Caesar. The always welcome William H. Macy will also pop up in an unknown role too. However, even with all those updates, excitement levels are still rather low for a project that feels like it's been in production for an eternity at this point, and one that the average Apes fan wasn't exactly clamoring for after such a well-executed conclusion to Caesar's story in war. Hopefully this latest Apes chapter finds a way to justify its existence after such a perfect conclusion to the prior trilogy. For now though, you'd probably struggle to find too many people putting this forquel on their 2024 most anticipated cinema trips list. Number 4. Blue Beetle. The DCEU has had quite the 12 months, and with so much controversy and change going down behind the scenes, a great deal of attention has been pulled away from one of the studio's most refreshing looking projects to date. Development began on a project centered around Jaime Reyes all the way back in 2018, with this superhero adventure set to act as Warner Brothers' first DCEU entry with a Latino lead. And while most people were busy arguing over Snyderverses and angling for the return of Henry Cavill's Superman, it turns out that director Angel Manuel Soto was busy crafting what looks like one of the most enjoyable slices of superpowered fun of the year. Blue Beetle's first trailer dropped in April, and felt like a much-needed breath of fresh air for a franchise very much on the cusp of a refresh, now that Peter Safran and James Gunn are steering the ship. However, with the incoming Flash event currently dominating the headlines, this fun Scarab-starring flick hasn't really been given a chance to be the DC film on everyone's lips. Yet. Number 3. The Killer. Joining the likes of Heart of Stone and Havoc as an epic incoming thriller on Netflix that very few are probably even aware of is David Fincher's latest project, The Killer. Fincher has been attached to this neo-noir adaptation of the graphic novel series of the same name since 2007, with Brad Pitt's Plan B Entertainment producing the Michael Fassbender starring picture. At this point, both Netflix and Fincher are clearly keeping their cards close to their chest, with only a fairly ambiguous behind-the-scenes featurette and a few small clips during a Save the Dates trailer for the streaming giant, showing off what fans can expect from the Fight Club director's newest picture. This secrecy could definitely help set the stage for a typically shocking and gripping Fincher feature in the end, but it's still strange just how little fuss is being made over the acclaimed director's first big release since 2020's Oscar-winning Mank. Number 2. The Creator. Stepping back into the cinematic spotlight for the first time since directing the widely adored Rogue One, a Star Wars story in 2016, Gareth Edwards is returning in a big way with what looks like an astonishing piece of sci-fi. The Creator will see the human race battle against artificial intelligence, with John David Washington's ex-Special Forces agent Joshua being tasked with taking out the titular Creator, the architect of said deadly advanced AI. Spectacular would be a bit of an understatement here. The simply breathtaking, futuristic, war-torn landscape seen throughout, and focus on humanity's relationship with technology, at a time when the dangers of AI are being debated more than ever before, both help make Edwards' film stand out as a cinematic event not to be missed. That being said, very few even realized Edwards was returning to the sci-fi stage this year before the creator's trailer dropped a few weeks back. So here's hoping this bold original epic can pick up some momentum in the months to come and make a hell of a splash in theaters from September 29th onwards. Number 1. The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. You'd think that a film focused on a secret World War II combat organization founded by William Churchill and James Bond author Ian Fleming, one that involved their fighters using rather effective ungentlemanly warfare against the Nazis, would be the talk of the town heading into next year, especially with said feature starring the magnificent Henry Cavill and Isa Gonzalez, and none other than Guy Bloody Ritchie sitting in the director's seat. And Top Gun Maverick producer Jerry Bruckheimer has also noted that the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, based on Damian Lewis's 2015 book, is larger-than-life entertainment with incredible talent on both sides of the camera and an unbelievable true story. There's still obviously time for Ritchie, Bruckheimer and the gang to drum up some interest for this incoming wartime explosion, as it's only expected to land in theaters in 2024. And that's our list of any other epic upcoming movies nobody is talking about. Well, let us know all about them in the comments section right down below, and don't forget to like, share and click on that subscribe button while you're down there. Also, if you like this sort of stuff, then please head on over to whatculture.com and find some more fantastic articles just like the one this video you're watching right now is based on. I've been Gareth from whatculture.com. Cheers for clicking on this video today. Now go and check out some more What Culture goodness on the channel and have yourself the best of days. See you later!